Hello, well, welcome back. This is Mark Holmes, Editorial Director of Via Satellite, Programme Chair of Cabin Chats, for another third session today on day two. We have some familiar faces back with me, Mark Richmond from Intelsat and Carly Heath. So welcome back. But we have a new airline guest to join us, to join in the discussion. So welcome Daniel Iriarte from AeroMexico. I hope I got your family name somewhat correct after one or two practices, and welcome to Cabin Chats, Daniel. It's nice to have a new speaker here, so welcome. We've got about 30-40 minutes for this session. Audience, please ask your questions. We've got some really interesting perspectives here. We've got another major airline who's doing a lot in in-flight connectivity, and obviously Intelsat, one of the big players in not just the satellite arena but also the IFC arena, particularly now with their acquisition of GoGo. So if you've got questions, please do so via the chat, and we'll get to them over the next 30-40 minutes. Daniel, I'm going to start with you because we talked a little bit with Mark and Carly early about their vision, or Intelsat's vision, I should say, for in-flight connectivity. So give us a sort of an update. What is AeroMexico's vision for IFC now? Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Well, first of all, thanks a lot for having me in today's conversation. It's quite excited. And by the way, you did great with the last name pronunciation. Good for it. Well, as most of you, as we were aware by now, it has been the most challenging year, I would say, for the aviation industry. And having this in mind, I would like to, we're obviously going through a very, let's say, quite a big internal restructure, right? But I would like to highlight that AeroMexico keeps as one of the main pillars to work closely with technology, right? So our vision is to remain connected, for the next years. And I don't think that's something we realize that's something that passengers wish, to be connected all the time. We realized as well that you don't need to be, at the office to work. So that has made the decision of depending on technology, and for instance on onboard Wi-Fi, as an essential more than ever.
Okay.
So Daniel, I think one of the questions that we always like to ask and understand is how do you see IFC fitting into the future for AeroMexico? I mean, do you see its role changing, or do you see an evolution, or do you see some dramatic changes in front of us as AeroMexico readjusts to the new environment for the future?
Well, I would say that at the moment, for example, once we look at the current behavior or what the current situation is happening with passengers, well, we realized that there hasn't been like any really drastic change let's say, of what they're actually doing while they're browsing through our Wi-Fi services. I would say that, for instance, this comes across with together with the current marketing campaign that we just launched, which is AeroMexico / home office. So we're currently since we realize that you don't need to be, as I said before, in your office to work, so we're launching this sort of services. And what we realized is that no matter what the key touch points, people want to be connected. So what we want to create is that someone all the way, you want to be connected while you're home. You want to be online while you're on your ride to the airport, while you're in the airport. So we want to make sure that the process of being online while you're on board is there as well. So once you actually go to one of our destinations and you go to one of our partner hotels as well, you remain connected, right? So I will say that that's sort of where we're heading, to make it to have it like it's an essential, as said.
That's actually really good insight, and I think a clever way to position the value that AeroMexico brings to their passengers by, putting out there that this is, there's a need for passengers to stay connected as they are connected on the ground. And here's kind of how we're thinking about that. I guess a question I would have for you, Daniel, is, do you see this as an opportunity, right? We're in unprecedented times with the pandemic. Do you see right now as an opportunity to leverage Wi-Fi to kind of increase that brand affinity that you have with your passengers, to kind of increase a brand preference for AeroMexico by using IFC? I know that airlines, and we're all kind of feeling this in the industry, and trying to create a comfortable and safe space where the passengers can come back. So from an Intelsat perspective, as we try to develop our new services and support the airlines more directly, we want to get an understanding of, what's the role in terms of building brand preference.
Daniel,
Sorry, yeah. I would say as well that we are currently, so far, what we've seen as well is that all of our Wi-Fi connected tails are having as well an in-flight entertainment installed. So as I said before, we what we get to see on the trends that we can see on a daily basis, right, is that the consumption of data didn't really increase because a lot of passengers are actually coming on board and using as well the in-flight entertainment, right? So at this stage, I would say that we work closely with 3 providers in Wi-Fi providers in AeroMexico, and I would say that the current services that are provided by them, through the different products that are offered on the product, are actually, let's say, fulfilling what passengers' needs are at the moment. Now, what I will find very interested now with Intelsat being in this transition with GoGo, is that you mentioned, and perhaps you can go as well, giving a bit more details about it, the fact that you're now going to be like a vertically integrated business that will allow us to obviously offer a more reliable and high quality connection while on board. So we're actually quite excited by this opportunity that you guys are going to be soon. And I believe that that's where we're going, to work with providers as you in the near future, where a most reliable speed connection can be offered for passengers, but because we do know that a lot of people might want to have now conferences while they're flying, or just before, in the whole process of these flights, they might want to have access to have high-speed Wi-Fi, and I believe that this partnership with you will be very important and will actually improve the current services that we offer.
Yeah, Daniel, I think you make a good point, and I'll highlight that being more responsive and to airline requirements, as well as making certain that we are providing a robust and reliable end-to-end service through network redundancy, as well as partnering up with strong partners, i.e. the GoGo Intelsat transaction, I think feeds directly into what you're talking about. I mean, it was a definite focus of ours as we thought about this strategic move to really integrate the best of both worlds and build a complementary capability from both organizations. And I think, as you mentioned, it brings a vertical integration capability to the market, and it also allows us to remake the IFC marketplace and value chain at this point. I mean, the idea of having a network purpose designed for Aero, supporting the capabilities that come with the GoGo transaction, I think really make for a powerful market offering. And it's great to hear from you that those are the things that you value, and that you're looking forward to the possibilities and opportunities there.
Okay, we have our first audience question for the session, which is good. So a note to our audience: keep the questions coming. It's the last session of the day, so let's make it high energy, and let's give our panelists some tough questions to end the day, so we can get some good discussion. So I'm sure they'll appreciate me for saying that. But the question we have from the audience kind of follows on from that. And the question is aimed for Daniel. Now that we have 2 vertically integrated satellite providers, what would your can you offer any advice for the Intelsat GoGo offering, or what sort of advice, as the customer, and you've got Intelsat here. I mean, I'm sure there are others listening in as well, watching this. What is your advice to them? How can they help you do your business better now?
Well, a lot of people, I'll have to go first to one point, and a lot of people sometimes ask what it is to actually work and partner with 3 providers, right? Because I will say that everyone will assume that it's obviously much easier to work only with one, right? But what we've seen through the last year, since we have Wi-Fi across our 52 tels, the fact that we have 3 different services, it's always allowing us to see what are the key points that each provider has to offer, right? And this gives us a chance as well to innovate and work together with those particular teams to know what is a trend, what our passengers are looking for, what products when we have on board are having more demand in which time or which stage during the flight, So the fact that we have a lot of feedback, not only from one, but from 3 providers, this is always something very helpful, for us, that we exchange all the different metrics, related to, let's say, the flight path or the flight behavior or consumer behavior during the flight. So as I said as well before, what we will ask at this particular moment is that as we're going through this really tough year, and as we're going through a very a deep restructure, what we're asking initially, will be, patience and cope with us, because we want to make sure that, we just had our 86th anniversary last week, so we want to remain as a premium airline in Mexico, and we want to remain offering the best possible products on board as well. And what we're asking right now is obviously working to, cope with us in the situation, and that will basically, by 2021, I will say that IATA, for instance, has mentioned that it will take around 2 or 3 years to recover, right? So at this moment, I will say that it's too early to share where we're heading, in that way. But what I can tell you is that we're heading to keep technology as our main pillar in the airline, and that just contribute, in whatever ideas you will have in the future with us. Let's share together innovative ideas, innovative products, and it's always good as well when providers are quite open to have flexibility in the sense of having having different trials on new products. We're working so far with one of another vertical integrated provider. They're working with a trial currently on one of our on the Inflight connectivity portal. So that's something that we really value. We value that you guys want to work closely with us, and let's say have some trials, 1-month trial with different products to see where we're heading, where we're going. So that's where I would say having the creative side potentially activated, and working closely together while developing new products.
No, thank you for sharing that. That is very helpful. I think you touched on two main things that, key points that I took away. It's on, continuing to offer a premium service, across your fleet, regardless of the service provider. And then also how you guys remain laser focused on technology. That resonates well with us and the Intelsat vision. I'll just, kind of touch on that quickly during this session. We touched on it a lot during the earlier session we had this morning, but as far as rolling out a premium service, that's definitely the vision that we have as we combine the capabilities, of a powerhouse brand name and expertise that comes with GoGo, being able to take those lessons learned and the positives from their side of the house. We'll be able to roll out a more efficient service, I would say, that we're more integrated with the technology on the terminal side, on the in-cabin service side, all of those pieces that GoGo bring, paired with our network capability. We're well underway with rolling out our next generation of software-defined satellites. And to Mark's point, it's all with the goal of developing a purposeful built network dedicated to aero. And so the technology piece is resonating very much with me, and as well as the premium, with being able to offer a premium service.
Yeah, I would think that one other takeaway from Daniel, from your comments, was around being nimble and ready to experiment and having the flexibility to do that. I think Carly touched on the capabilities that we're going to be building into our next generation network, and our approach to this, integrating the network and the in-cabin services and the in-flight connectivity capability, is going to be key for Intelsat and GoGo going forward when the transaction closes, I think. And the other is the capability of the network to adapt to new requirements and to be able to meet those requirements and still maintain still have an architecture that supports the reliability and redundancy that's going to be required to deliver a service that, for the passenger and for the airline operations, is going to be seamless, continuous, reliable, as well as high performing, and adapt to some of the things that we see on the horizon related to passenger take rate and passenger interest in streaming and integration with other capabilities that the airline wants to bring to the market in order to drive brand affinity and a connection with the, pardon the pun, connection with the passenger. So these are great comments. Thank you.
Yeah, and another example, for example, in terms of flexibility is, back in 2019, we introduced a very popular product across our fleet, which was a free messaging product, right? And, we were the first Latin American airline to introduce a product as this. As you know as well, we have a strong partnership with Delta, so we try to, in a way, homologate some of the services offered in Delta, same as for AeroMexico. And free messaging was something that Delta was already, working. So we decided, through an extensive, let's say, projects and estimations and whatever, to bring this product to our fleet. And I can tell you that this was, before free messaging, take rates were usually, as I said before, as well, all the Wi-Fi connected airtails have as well the in-flight entertainment, so that sometimes decreases the level of take rate. We've realized about it as well. However, once we introduced free messaging across our fleet, our take rates of around 3-4% went all the way up to 30-35%, so we were so happy to see the acceptance that passengers have. And we actually as well identified that, once again, Wi-Fi is essential and people want to be connected all the time. And a tricky part of this is that they don't perhaps want to pay for it as well, So what the airlines right now are looking for is a way of how can we perhaps decrease these prices or offer more free products, right? So we basically began in March 2019 with our medium haul fleets on our 737s, precisely with GoGo, and that's where we've seen how the take rate went all the way to 30-35%. And then we introduced this product by June on our 787s with another provider. And both take rates, as I said, were notably went all the way up, I will say. And this as well contributed to as well have better score in terms of our NPS scores. You know that nowadays the airlines work based on the NPS. So the fact that this particular section of offering something for free and something that's essential, that at least you want to be connected and being able to send a message while you're 35,000 feet above sea level, that's something that passengers do appreciate. And obviously one of the biggest impacts that we encountered this year, that was that we had to suspend free messaging across our tails, right? So that's where we really value how flexible the providers are as well in that point, because we had to literally remove from one night to another. We had to suspend this. And that's where, as I said, that's where we value working together. And what we came across was, okay, we want to keep offering something that is similar to a messaging pass, let's say. So we managed to close a deal with one of the providers on our wide body tails. And instead of now offering a free product, we have now a messaging pass for a very reasonable price. So that will automatically increase our take rates, and that will automatically be reflected as well in what, in the passenger satisfaction while they are evaluating, while they are rating our or writing comments about AeroMexico. So that's something that we value, working closely and adapting to uncertain, situations as these, that we had to suspend this product. And I would say that this will bring me to a next topic, which is something that we want to bring as soon as possible. And I will say that that's the only clear item that we have in project by 2021, is bringing back free messaging across our entire fleet. And we're working on it, and that's where we are, where we're currently at.
Sounds like a great message, great opportunity. Be nimble and adapt quickly. Thank you.
And on that note, we're going to segue into a completely different topic that we haven't discussed, I think, over the last few hours. We actually have a question on antennas, which I wasn't sure we were going to get today. So we have a question for Mark and Carly here. With new electronic steering antennas coming to market, as well as the current ones, is Intelsat's intention to develop a flying testbed to measure throughput of these different antennas, or what is your current antenna plan? That's probably the easiest way to ask that question.
So that's a question I'm happy to address. Intelsat is continuously evaluating new antenna technologies, both for aero as well as other markets, and that does include doing an assessment of the state of the art of new ESA technologies and how that might play into our various market verticals, and aero is no different from that. We do think there's some great antennas on the market today, and I think Gogo's 2KU solution is a particularly good and efficient one. We do think in the future there's the possibility that the technology for ESAs will mature enough and be developed enough that there will become an ESA solution for commercial aero. It's hard to say exactly when that's going to happen, but clearly that's on the horizon, and we hope it's a good solution. So are we evaluating those technologies? Yes, we are. We are always doing that in order to bring new antenna solutions onto our network. And right now, that's in our plan to evaluate those opportunities, or evaluate those technologies now, and evaluate products when they become available. And that will include everything from working closely with the developer, the OEM of the antenna, through ground testing, and eventually testing in the air to validate on our network. We're open to that, looking forward to that, and think it's a key part of the ecosystem that we want to keep close tabs on, because it's a critical part of the total solution.
Excellent. Well, the questions are flying in now, so let's get through as many as we can. Daniel, we have a question for you now. Given that people's behaviour during the pandemic is to stream movies at home, do you think this is a service that can be offered in flight?
Yeah, completely. You know, and we actually we offer through our different providers once again streaming products already. You know, so the streaming so far it's available on our flights, and but once again, it's relating to the fact that a lot of people rather bring their own devices, or they will rather go ahead and use as well our in-flight entertainment. But in sense of what we're actually providing, what we currently offer, yes, we do have through our different providers streaming products. We can do see that there's, whenever you have a vertically integrated system, it does work much faster, and you will be able to provide a more consistent service while you're streaming videos. You know, streaming sometimes on board can be tricky, but once again, we currently offer them, and it currently works well, especially in two of the providers that we currently work with.
Yeah, a comment on streaming. We think there's going to be a lot more interest by passengers in that going forward, per Daniel's comments, and we think that's going to be a key capability that needs to be built into networks. And it's on, you know, it's certainly part of our planning and product definition going forward to be able to include that capability, particularly planning for the future where take rates and the amount of streaming on aircraft is going to climb significantly as passengers kind of view the aircraft as for a couple hours as a home away from home, and we expect the same levels of service. It's giving confidence to the passenger that they can stay connected and be entertained while they're in flight. So yes, it's those sorts of capabilities are definitely on our radar and are an integral part of our planning going forward.
Excellent. We have another question for Intelsat. The questions are flying in, but we still have time. So if you've got another question for Mark, Daniel, or Carly, please feel free to put that via the chat, and we'll try and get that in. Another question we'll go to Carly for this one. Can Intelsat give some detail on the role capacity from other satellite operators will play going forward? And as networks migrate more towards Intelsat-owned capacity, should airlines expect price decreases? That's like the main question, isn't it, really? But,
yeah, it's actually a good question, and it's one we absolutely expect to hear from airlines, right? Especially what's going on at the time. The beauty about the Intelsat network, from the very beginning, we've always fundamentally believed in some key components that bring value, especially to the aerospace. And that's an open architecture design, right? What that means is, although we have vast amounts of capacity today, KU band capacity today, and initial satellite launches in the works, we've already actually announced the next iteration to the EPIC high throughput satellite family. It's launching sometime in 2022, and it will have coverage over North and South America. The beauty of the network is that we can fold in third-party capacity from other ecosystem players in a very nimble way that allows us to be a bit more adaptive as we are looking to work directly with airlines and solve for the direct needs for each airline. So that means, you know, where the traffic is concentrated, right? So key routes and airline hubs will be covered because we have not only the resiliency and redundancy built in on our network, we can pull in other capacity from other networks. A part of the Gogo acquisition allows us obviously to become vertically integrated, and that's where we'll see, you know, economies of scale because we will be folding, you know, Gogo customers onto our network. That way we're able to better manage that capacity. That's where we see more value in terms of a more efficiently ran network for our customers. And so rolling out more flexibility in terms of the service delivery models that we're able to offer is where we'll be able to deliver value to our airlines.
Yeah, I think to add to that, I mean, we're focused on value and capability for the airlines, and that means a very capable global network. And we're certainly designing for that in our current network and in the future networks, as well as the capabilities. And it's capability, coverage, capacity to deliver greater value and support the greater needs of the airlines as far as passenger take rate and additional services. So I think that's what our focus is on, bringing greater capability to the airlines as the market grows and the market recovers, and to bring to bear architecture, our multi-layered approach to handle high traffic areas, to provide coverage and the performance needed to set the airline up for success with their passenger. And if that means using our own capacity, so be it. I think in some cases it might mean using a third-party capacity. That's part of the solution, and if we need to bring it to bear, we will.
Okay, well, let's go. We've just got under 15 minutes remaining. So we've had lots of questions, but keep them coming. Let's have a good last 10, 15 minutes of questions. We have another question for you, Daniel. Again, I think this is a really good question, actually. I'm intrigued with your answer to this one. Have you seen any passenger demand for work-type apps and video conferencing, or are you anticipating the shift in service requirement based on ground-based internet trends?
What we actually, there's so many teams working together in the airline, and one of them will be one called voice of the passenger or even customer service. So they are the ones who might actually get before the flights while someone is booking a flight. They want to make sure that while on air, they're gonna be able to use applications that allows them, to have video conference calls or something. So we don't see the demand right now as through the systems that we can actually monitor on a daily basis. But what we are actually getting is a couple of questions while passengers are actually planning to fly or book a flight. That's something that they brought up, let's say, but that's something that it's happening before the flight, that they want. And as we understand, that's a decision based for them, right? Because if they're gonna be able to actually go through these type of applications, then they will most probably fly with AeroMexico. So we're getting these kind of questions before the flights, and through these two teams that I'm telling you.
And I mean, you say you're getting those questions before the flight. So are you? Is there going to be a reaction to that? What are you?
Oh yeah, right away. I mean, what we advise right away to these involved teams is that we just give a brief description of the offered services, and that they will actually be able to use those apps while they fly. So yes, we usually advise them to move forward, let's say, with their decision of flying with us, because those capabilities are available on the flight.
Yeah, to add to that, we from a network and a service provider standpoint, we do anticipate that passengers are going to demand more and more in the future. So in our architectures and our design activities, we do keep that in mind and are designing forward to meet those anticipated requirements. Some of these applications for business and video conferencing already exist in the business jet space, and we have a product that serves that market as well. And so we're seeing that those asks appearing in that market space, and we're addressing those successfully so far.
Okay. We still have a few minutes left, so if you've got any sort of final questions for Daniel, Mark, and Carly, please send those via the chat, and we'll get them to it. It's been a really good discussion so far. Plenty of good questions from the audience. I'm glad we got an antenna question in with my satellite background in. We always like those questions. I'm going to go to Daniel for a question, and maybe then Carly and Mark can talk about it as well. When we did one of these earlier with Norm Houghton of Air Canada, he spoke about a recrafting, almost a reimagining of IFC services that Air Canada was looking to do. So one of the questions I asked Norm was, well, can you sort of tell us about something that you might be doing next year that maybe you're not doing now? I know you talked about the first thing was getting messaging back, and we talked a little bit about video conference and work-based apps, but there's obviously a lot of questions around, you know, health, safety, welfare, I mean, and other things as well. Can you give us maybe a little bit of a crystal ball and insight into the future? I mean, you spoke about you know, there's still quite a lot of demand there in Mexico for people to fly. What kinds of connectivity based apps, services might we see from AeroMexico over the next 12 months? What kind of things you might be looking at?
Right. Yeah. Well, as once again, free messaging will remain as our main priority. And follow back then, you know, we realized that there's the in-flight connectivity portal. It's you know, sometimes it's an identity that we don't get to explode as perhaps we would want, you know. And the thing is, the portals are actually equipped, you know, and have the infrastructure to develop additional apps or you know, like any sort of advertisement. So what we've been discussing as well on AeroMexico is that we would like to look for, you know, commercialize as much as we can the in-flight connectivity portal. Luckily, you know, there's so many brands that would like to have some sort of advertisement, any sort of banner, you know, that can be actually located on this particular portal. So I will say that that's where we're heading for the next year as well. Aside from the free messaging product, commercializing more our in-flight connectivity portal, because this is obviously something that will allow the airline to build up new you know, agreements with other third parties that want to be part of our experience and brands that are similar to what we're offering. So I could just sum it up all in commercializing, you know, in a higher level, our in-flight connectivity portal, because this will obviously find, you know, this sometimes works as well in a way for sponsoring some of the products that we would like to offer. And luckily, as I said, you know, there's so many brands that would like to be part of the AeroMexico experience. And so I would say that those are the two targets that we have for next year. Hopefully free messaging can happen by the end of this year. We're happy to see as well, and it's important to mention, at least, you know, Mexico was a country that never closed borders, you know, so at least that has, you know, we've seen a quite interesting peak on the passenger flow month by month since May. So that's a good indicator that things are recovering, that people are flying, you know, no matter what the situation is, of course, with precautions. So the fact that the loads are increasing on a monthly basis is a good indicator to even work closely with other brands that would like to be part of AeroMexico. So those are the two things that we have in mind at this point.
From Intelsat's perspective, we are working hard to expand, you know, our current role and how we support commercial aero today. Traditionally, we've, you know, been here to serve our customers, right? GoGo and several other like top service providers in the industry through providing our IFC services, right? So today, Intelsat services are powering about 75% of connected commercial aircraft today. What we're trying to do is kind of redefine the space that we're working in, so that, again, with an example of the GoGo acquisition on the commercial aviation side, it's a way that we're combining the capabilities and expertise to develop a more streamlined service to AeroMexico and other customers. When we think about, you know, kind of where we see ourselves going, it's really about scalability on a global level, and making sure, you know, if AeroMexico wants to roll out streaming, you know, once they get back their free Wi-Fi and they want to think about, you know, how to serve their customers in the future, you know, our role is to really understand those requirements, right? Through forums like the ones you're putting on today. Thank you, Mark. It allows us to kind of understand those requirements as we parallel path building out our services for the future. We want to be able to scale on a global level consistently, right? And I think that's one of the keys, is to do it in a consistent manner across sub fleets or even a whole fleet. It's to do it on a level that we haven't seen today, so that airlines can confidently roll out a service that they know will be a booster for NPS, and that they know will delight their customers. That's something we're working very hard to do.
Yeah, to build on Carly's comment about a service that the airline can rely on now and well into the future, in-flight connectivity is really a long game. It requires significant investments and a significant portfolio of capabilities, and that's one of the reasons we think the transaction between Gogo and Intelsat brings a considerable amount of value to the market, because the capitalization, the investments required, the capabilities required really highlight the fact that bringing these two companies together can really have tremendous advantages for the airlines and the marketplace. The experience base, the capabilities is really remarkable, and offers a great opportunity for growth. And it really is a forward-looking strategic investment on the part of Intelsat, because we fundamentally believe that this is a growing market, will continue to be a growing market, and it is going to be as exciting as it was in 2019. It will be that as exciting in 2022 and in 2023. We're going through a rough patch now, but again, we're taking the long view, investing for the future, and I think the market understands that, and I think we're anxious to make certain that the airlines understand that also.
It's definitely a statement of intent, and we congratulate you for doing that deal, and we obviously hope it works out, because it's good for all of us in the satellite industry and the IFC industry to have a successful and healthy Intelsat and stuff. I have a quick question for Daniel. We're almost out of time here. And it's really one of the strands that have been throughout the day. A lot of it has been talking about consumer confidence, getting passengers to have the confidence to go to airports, to go on aircraft, to be flying again, whether it's the business traveler or going on a vacation. What is the connection between the AeroMexico view? What is the connection between connectivity and consumer confidence?
What is the connection between AeroMexico and?
Well, I'm talking about, where it could be like health and safety apps. I mean, when you talked a little bit earlier, we talked about video conferencing, streaming movies, but is it a case that passengers are going to want to access more information now that they're on flights, that they're going to be more interested in other things, not just movies and entertainment?
Right. Well, that's something precisely through one of the, we're currently on a trial, all the way to the end of this year with one of our providers. And what we're actually projecting currently to passengers is whoever goes and all the way to the in-flight connectivity portal, they will actually be able to watch a 1-minute video of the measures currently taken by AeroMexico in terms of safety before the flight, during and after the flight. So this video, once you watch it, you will actually be granted with a complimentary Wi-Fi session. So that was a good approach. We felt that you can imagine that most of the airlines, through the entire social media and those teams that are in charge of communicating the measures that are currently taking place in terms of COVID-19, are already there, not only through email, not only while you're in the airport. What we actually contributed now during the flight is that we have this specific video that once passengers, as I said, watch it, they will be granted with this. So that was an interesting approach, because you keep sending the message of what we're doing and about the safety measures that you're supposed to be taking while you are flying. We actually as well we're analyzing if it will be a good idea to, as well, that we have a list of allowed sites, that we obviously we work with providers to have this free of access for passengers. So we're thinking of some key information sites if we believe it's important to keep them there. So these sites are free for passengers while they want to reach the in-flight connectivity. So allowing those sites or keeping those sites active, plus this video that will give you some complimentary session. Those are, two good ways that we're currently approaching to passengers to create a sense of awareness.
Okay, excellent. I think that's a good point in which to end it. I would like to thank Daniel, Carly, and Mark for a great way to finish the day today. Thank you to all of our speakers, moderators, roundtable hosts, and audience this week. Really been a great event so far. I will thank our sponsors once again. Intelsat, thank you again. Colin, Smart Sky for sponsoring this event. It's really appreciated. Tomorrow we have some great stuff to conclude the event. We have a panel on cybersecurity, which we know is a big topic in this area, as well as some great updates from our good friends at NSR, who are going to try and forecast the IFC market going forward. I'm not sure I'd want to predict it, but that they will, and they'll give you some great insights into that. It all kicks off at 11 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So we look forward to seeing you there, and have a good afternoon and evening. Thank you very much.
Mark, thank you very much. Exciting times ahead. Everyone should stay tuned.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks once again. Thanks for having me on board this very interesting conversation, and looking forward to work closely with Intelsat as well.
Excellent. Thank you.